Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Hi humans! Before we kick off the episode, a quick announcement. Partial Arc, as of right now, is at Gen Con this week. If you're unfamiliar with Gen Con, it's the world's largest gaming convention. Everything from simple card games to war games like Warhammer. It's absolute madness, and we're actually there to demo our very own game, Mortals, a cooperative battle arena board game that pits mortal gods against death himself. So, pretty cool. If you happen to be there this week, come say hi, or challenge us to a blood duel, whatever works. And of course, if you'd like to help us beat Zench in a game of demon chess, please hop on iTunes and leave us a rating and review. The more 5-star ratings we get, the more warp charges Andrew has access to defeat the Chaos God of Change and escape a millennia of torture. So, important. And with that said, let's start the show.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And a lot of weird shit. Roll to seize!
Welcome to Roll to Seize. This is episode 13. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and Warhammer enthusiast, Andrew Dickinger.
Hiya!
Guys, it's our anniversary episode. We made it an entire year living here secretly in the Brown Library.
I mean, yeah. Wait, a year's gone by?
Yeah, in Earth years. Well, in Terran years, I guess. In Terran years? Is that the correct term?
It definitely felt like more than 15 minutes, but I wasn't sure how far beyond 15 minutes.
Yeah, time is really weird in the Brown Library. It's pretty tough to judge, but according to this magical glass vial, I think it has been exactly a year.
Can we trust the magical glass vial?
I mean, look, the glass vial tells truths and it tells lies. So I'm feeling pretty confident.
You feeling the truth?
Look, it said yesterday that my hair looked terrible, so we know that was a lie, because my hair looks great.
So you're thinking
so
that
it's got to be the next one's got to be the truth. Yeah.
Because that makes total sense.
Of course, magical vials are nothing but consistent with their truths and lies. Everybody knows this. The vial told me so. Anyways, so guys, we've done this for a year, and we've had such a fun time doing this podcast. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it, getting involved with the polls, listening to us talk about the shenanigans in the Brown Library, totally accepting the very legitimate and very useful list that we come up with on this show.
Totally competitive level.
Very competitive level lists. I hear at Bay Area Open, they're just crushing. Ghostbuster lists are dominating everywhere.
Well, like we said in the show, Ghostbuster lists can't ever lose.
They can't ever lose because they are ghosts.
So they just win. Yeah. I mean, it's Ghostbusters.
It makes sense. I mean, no one can refute us because they can't get to us in the Brown Library, so we can't get any information.
That's true. I didn't think of it. It's like a fortress for our ego.
It's a fortress of actual solitude.
Maybe it's a fortress built by our ego.
My God. This is a really philosophical podcast. We've decided to shift gears in the next year to just go full philosophy on you guys and talk about
the warp's built
the machinations of the Brown Library.
The warp's built by emotions, right? I mean, it's like
Is it built by emotions?
It's a physical substance in the warp. So.
That's right. Except for the architecture part, the god of architecture that does build architecture in the warp.
Right. Well, no, it's like every time somebody's like, man, that archway looks really awesome. It just like automatically feeds him.
Just builds more power in the
He's
warp.
Like, yes!
Yes, love my arches! So fueled by that love for architecture. All you architecture students out there, just know you're feeding a dark, evil god.
Well, that's like all the schools, all they do is architecture. I mean, it's like war architecture. That's all you got. There's nothing else.
That's all they have, war architecture? That's true. They've got to have a department of just war architecture.
Yeah, right. There's
in the
war,
Grimdark.
There's architecture.
And then there's war architecture.
And then there's war architecture.
There absolutely is a war architecture department. I mean, they're like, you're going to put your last cannons here. You're going to obviously put your heavy bolters here. The heavy bolters really accent the golden curves.
Well, you got to have that sexy archway for those laser beams being shot.
Oh, absolutely.
Through. I mean,
the laser beams, especially when you're blowing, like, I don't know, what are we thinking? Like a squigoth? Like the way that it catches the squigoth blood on those laser cannons is just it's wow. What that marble was made for.
This conversation is just going there.
It just went as far as we should probably ever go with war architecture.
So back to
the subject. So there's been some weird stuff coming out of Warhammer lately, and it's wild.
So Age of Sigmar has released. It's the next, I think it's 9th edition Warhammer.
Really, 9th edition.
And it's not really Warhammer anymore. It's
Yeah,
kind of
it's very different.
Okay, so you can describe it as a game.
Yes,
it is in fact a game. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. That's about all that the rules apply to it, is that it is a game.
And I know this is a little off topic because we do talk about Warhammer 40k in this podcast, but it's just so weird we got to talk about it. So what are some of the rules of Age of Sigmar?
All right, so it's bonkers. And all their normal restrictions and stuff like that they normally apply to their games, the rules that you normally need to play a game.
Right, like balance and things to make it feel even.
Yeah, I mean,
so strategy can take place.
That doesn't exist anymore.
No strategy.
It's basically gone.
Oh, okay.
So there's essentially no limits to anything anymore. So it's now possible to get guaranteed successes and guaranteed failures.
Really? There's no if you get a 6 or if you get a 1. There's
no.
Nope.
It's possible to get saves now in that
you
game.
Can get
that
1+
it's a 1+.
Saves? Oh my god.
There's 1+ saves. There's also bonuses that you get depending on things you do. So there's a cinch bonus that if you pronounce a word right, then you get +1.
It was supported by Hooked on Phonics. Hooked on Phonics,
apparently,
through their ad money, they were sitting down with their ad team and they were like, guys, how do we get Hooked on Phonics out there into the mainstream of wargaming? Age of Sigmar's coming out. We got to invest some of these advertising dollars,
you just gotta say Sugaloo, correct, and then
Sugaloo,
yeah, and then you get the bonuses. And I mean, there's one that's if your opponent has whoever has a better mustache or something.
What
is one of them?
There's mustache lore built into the game.
I think so. It's kind of bonkers.
Wow.
They basically were just you know what? Let's just have fun with it.
To be fair, below the god of evil architecture, the god of mustaches is right there. So it does have some canon, pretty close canon in the Warhammer Grimdark universe, so it makes sense.
Well, I mean, we all know that. I mean, Logan Grimnar with that flowing white beard,
my God.
He's getting all the points.
Holy crap, he's got to have so many bonuses.
He solely feeds that god.
If stash bonuses are strong, beard bonuses have just got to be outrageous.
I mean,
they're D-weapons, right?
The D-weapon beard.
This is a D-weapon level beard. You insta-kill on
apocalyptic
blast with your beard. Guys, if you're rocking an apocalyptic beard out there, we want to know about it. We want to hear about your apocalyptic beard.
But yeah, so the game is it's bonkers nuts. But I mean, for the most part, even though it's been bonkers nuts from what everybody's been saying, the other side to that is that most people have been saying it is actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, look, mustache rules, in a weird way, sounds exciting. But before we keep talking about that, we want to get to, of course, our Seasons of the Month.
Oh, God.
Where we talk about the horrible mistakes that Andrew and I have made, or the triple ones that I've rolled in Warhammer.
And there are many of them.
There are many of them. I'll be going first for this episode. And guys, I finally got to play a game, or several games, with my Harlequin. So I'm trying them out and trying to figure out, what they're good at. And one thing I have established that Harlequins are good at is getting in close combat and stabbing a bunch of things to death and killing them.
They are murder clowns.
They are murder clowns. It is what I expect them to do very well. I've given most of my Harlequin, so kind of my layout for my Harlequin army is Kagorok's Revenge, basically, that formation.
Just that formation.
Because it's so good. You have re-rollable ones for saves. You can run and charge once it's turn 2. There's so many good things about that setup.
There's a reason why you haven't seen any Harlequin armies that aren't that.
That aren't Kagorok's Revenge, because it's too good.
It's just the best.
Yeah. And so I'm running 3 squads of Harlequins. I've got also a bunch of Death Jesters running together. I've got a bunch of bikes, because those bikes are tons of fun, throwing bolas.
Those bikes are so good.
I'm using Haywire Blast. That's my favorite thing so far. Those bikes are amazing. But what I said before, their biggest strength of going into combat and stabbing things, I've realized now that you have to choose your targets carefully with what you're going to go in and stab. Because even myself, I'm thinking, they can take on anything. They can go in here, they can kill Terminators, because most of my Harlequins and their troops are actually running with Harlequin Caresses. Now, Harlequin Caresses are really cool because
they're awesome.
They're basically this close combat device that when they go in and you're rolling for hits, keep this in mind, when you get a 6, it's an automatic wound at AP2. So what's amazing about that is you don't even have to wound. you just have to roll 6s, so I don't have to worry about strength at all.
Yeah, it completely bypasses that second step, and the best part about it is that essentially you're getting the highest chance of 6s when you're rolling the most dice, which is at the onset.
At the onset, when they're charging in, exactly. And also, you can even do this for vehicles. It's not only just for regular models, it's when you're charging into vehicles too. Any 6s give you a glancing hit. So these caresses crush monstrous creatures or Terminators or vehicles. I mean, they can even mess knights up pretty bad.
You can definitely take down knights with them.
So I'm like, my Harlequin squad is kitted out with 5 of them each, so I'm playing a Necrons player, and I'm like, I've got this. Necrons are terrible at close combat. I send them in at this Necron troop. There's like a Lord in there and some other guys, but who cares, right? My Harlequins are gonna get in there and kill them. I send 2 Harlequin troops in there because I like redundancy, and I'm like, I'm just gonna wipe this off the board right away, get Slay the Warlord, it's gonna be fun. Turns out, though, that this Necron squad is the most difficult thing in Warhammer 40k to kill. It is impossible to kill.
The unit that he's talking about is the very and ever popular Lichguard bomb.
Yeah.
It's got like 5 characters in it.
Yep.
And
one of the, I think it's Orikan the Diviner.
Yeah, it's got Orikan the Diviner. It's got Nemesis Zandrak. It's got a Destroyer Lord, and I think like a regular Lord, and
like an Overlord in there too.
It's got, I think it has Oberon in there as well.
It might. I don't even know, because I didn't get through many guys. It's just like the meanest bomb. The one thing is, though, if you know what it is, and you know not to go into close combat with it or be anywhere near it, you can avoid it because they're slow. They still have to walk. They're not fast or anything like that.
I mean, they still have a max move speed of 6 and then the 2d6 charge.
Exactly.
So.
And they have Veil, but it's a one-time use in the game.
Yeah.
I didn't know what this unit was. I'm like, Harlequins are going to crush this unit. Who cares? They've got 3 of Binvols. I'm going to hit them with so many attacks. Those guys are going to die, and then the Overlords are going to die. They're going to fall like paper. I go into close combat, and through multiple saves and reanimation protocols, I actually, after 2 rounds of combat, because you can hit and run with Harlequins, so I was like, well, I failed this charge. They just have to make it through 1 round, and I can hit and run out of there and go for other targets. After 2 rounds of combat, I think I had maybe like 5 Harlequins left out of 2 squads. So guys, my C's for this month is know your enemy. We've said this a few times, but even when you feel a powerful strength of your army, you know, which is close combat, and it's true, Harlequins are better than Necrons in close combat, hands down. But you have to make sure that your strength, as good as it is, overcomes not only their close combat attributes, but also their saves. So make sure that one outweighs the other, or else you're going to end up in a scenario like I did.
I think the C's is more just if you see the Lich Bomb, just dance circles around
That's
it.
probably a simpler version of the C's. If you see a Lich Bomb, just don't go near it. And definitely don't send murder clouds at it. So guys, that was my C's of the month. Andrew, what's your C's?
All right, so I was actually running for the second time Adeptus Mechanicus, essentially, the new AdMech. I know it's a little bit to the dark side for me since I'm heavy on non-Imperial stuff.
It's okay. We've already accepted you. It's all right.
So this tournament, same tournament where he was trying his Harlequins, I was trying a formation because my favorite, at least looks-wise, unit in both AdMech and Skitarii are the essentially Ruststalkers / Infiltrators. The Space Robot Ninjas. Like, they just look awesome. The one thing that is unfortunate with them is that it's kind of a travesty. They are only toughness 3. And for a model that's 2 wounds and has Feel No Pain, but then only has a 4+ armor save, like, it's just so soul-crushing when you know that in the meta, like, 90% of the guns you face are strength 6 or higher, and just cancels basically everything that's tough about them.
I believe Eldar are running a specific
Scatterbikes
group of bikes that tend to shoot strength 6 guns.
Scatterbikes. So my C's is essentially, I was in a game against Space Marines. This game, I unfortunately did end up losing. It was to points. It was a Maelstrom type mission, but I still had my favorite unit, what I had from the previous tournament, which was the Cohort Mechanicus. So along with these robot ninjas, I had that essentially death bomb of robots.
Yes, the 3 robots? 4 robots?
It's 4 robots this
4
time.
robots, nice.
4 robots, 2 data smiths that comes with the robots, and then the HQ unit, which is the Dominus.
Crazy robot grandpa.
A crazy robot, that is actually a perfect, he's even hunched over and stuff, and I imagine him being very crotchety. He's got a cane, so yes.
Yeah, he's a murder crotchety robot old man.
Once again, like, I just keep underestimating the sheer threat value, but also toughness of this unit. And I guess my Tau roots are coming back, and it's a shooty unit mainly. I mean, it's there to blast things at long range, but it's also 4 monstrous creatures and 3 guys with power fists.
So you were still afraid to put them into enemy fire?
It's just like, why don't I put them there? They all have feel no pain. They're majority toughness 7. They're all 3 wounds apiece at least, with 2+ saves and like reflecting fire and I mean invulnerable saves, and I still just like refuse to put them in danger.
Longtime listeners of the podcast will know that Andrew does take some time to figure out his seizes, hence with a Hive Tyrant for multiple episodes.
Fucking Hive Tyrants, whether they're against me or with me, they're always the death of me.
Yes.
But my seize is actually about these robots. Now, I know my seize last month was about the robots as well, essentially just not sticking them in the front line and just running them straight at the enemy, because the enemy has essentially no answer to them.
Yeah.
But instead, I spread all my ninjas out. You know, my mindset was that, oh, I have more board coverage that way because this formation allows them for one turn, not the first turn, to move, run, and charge, which gives them an actual threat range of over 30 inches if you roll really well.
Oh, right.
It's crazy because they have Dune Strider, which allows them to add 3 to all of their movements. So you have up to a 9-inch move, up to a 9-inch run, and then a 2d6 plus 3-inch charge.
Some fast little skittering ninjas.
They are super quick, and they're really good in close combat. But because they're only toughness 3, that means that any strength 6 or weapon is just doubling them out, and they're like 30 points a piece, so they're super expensive.
Oof.
So what I should have done is I should have essentially just had my robots in front and just made the enemy have to focus them.
Deal with the robots first.
Deal with the robots, because the ninjas were actually more valuable because it was Maelstrom, because they have that mobility to be able to capture objectives.
So they can capture the objectives and get the points.
And instead, I separated them and put them in harm's way, essentially, where he could just put his stuff on one side of the table, put his stuff on the other side of the table, and then my robots are like, well, what direction do we go? And, you know, he shot at the robots once because they were in the back, and then realized, well, I'm never going to do that again. And it cost me the game because he just spread his stuff out. It was drop Marines in drop pods, so you can just spread everything out. And it was just simply too much for just my robot unit to kill. And he just killed my ninjas all over the place because they were all spread out.
And the robots can only kill a few things every now and then each turn.
I mean, they can split fire, but I mean, even with Marines and cover and stuff like that, it's like you're only going to kill like maybe 1, maybe 2 units a turn, and it's just not enough when there's like 12 separate units.
Yeah, was this the Marines where it's just like Marines list?
It's like 60 Marines and
my God.
5 drop pods. There was just too much for me to I needed my ninjas. The ninjas were my more valuable targets. He understood that. I did not, and it cost me the game.
Oh, that's so tough. All right, guys, so those were our seasons of the month, and that'll be taking us right into the Brown Library. Guys, here we are in the Brown Library, and Greg has done such a nice job of decorating for the 1-year anniversary.
Some nice, I think the anniversary poster's alive, but...
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. We shouldn't touch that. I don't know what that's made out of.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay away.
Yeah, but what's really neat is we've got this fun cake. It's a, how was this cake made?
I think it was made by one of the Joe Caro.
Oh, that's right. Greg was talking about he had a special guest chef in the Brown Library. It's very difficult to get deliveries here, so you have to make food inside the Brown Library.
And it's like a double trust here, because not only are we trusting an interstellar ape, to make food that we're ingesting.
That's true.
But he's also upgraded it in some way.
He did. Greg mentioned that he did upgrade the cake.
It was very vague.
How do you upgrade a cake?
Flavor?
I guess so. That's got to be right. I mean, sure. That's what we think. But look, this is a Joe Caro cake. I mean, do you think it's got last cannon filling?
I don't know. I've already had 2 pieces and I haven't exploded yet.
Oh, no.
Well.
We should ask the vial.
The vial? Jay, don't trust the vial. The vial only tells you lies.
I told you. The vial told me how to figure out the vial. I've got this worked out. It's an easy system. But anyways, guys, so this is the Brown Library. This is where we go through and sift through and find the weirdest things from the grim dark and figure out a crazy shenanigan list to come from it. And you guys have helped us do that with our polls each month. And where are those polls located?
On Daka Daka in the Underused Fluffy Units forum. Yeah, so this month, man, I mean, like, I guess people just want to see them greenskins because...
The greenskins are back!
Whoa, orcs have won again.
They love those kilts. Those kilts are nice.
Does that mean they, like, flash the enemy when they get...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't they flash? Oh, yeah. We flash at him.
Giant orc robot dicks.
Thanks,
yes.
Random Orc. Should we be worried that guy's in here?
Well, I mean, Gaskell was here last time and was throwing parties and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what that deal that Greg's worked out in. We should really find out more about Greg. Maybe this year we'll find out more about what Greg's whole thing is up to. But anyways, guys, let's talk about what you guys want to hear about with the greenskins.
All right, so this month, going into something a little crazier. Something
a little crazier.
I mean, crazy, I guess, for orcs. Because, we've talked about them crazy flash gits. And we've talked about their walkers and stuff. And this month, we're talking about orc flyers.
Orc flyers?
Flyers. They're crazy
Somebody
pilots.
gave an orc flying technology and was like, this is going to be safe. He'll figure this out, we promise.
I mean, all they got to do is believe, man.
It's true. They probably have the easiest technology development around. They just have to think about what they want to do, and they do it.
Well, their mech boys are literally born with the knowledge to create and adapt technology because
really?
They're an engineered
There
race.
isn't an orc school somewhere, an adorably hilarious orc school.
If by school you mean like sorting pit, where they're just like budded and born and then they just come out in the world.
That is what I meant. I meant a sorting pit.
It's just
like adorable.
They do like the Pokemon test where they essentially just have like a wrench, a syringe, and an axe in front of them, and they're like, choose choose your overriding destiny.
And that dick always picks the other one that beats your wrench. What an asshole.
And he's like, I want the Pikachu, the one that's not on the table. And that's what weird boys become, the ones that they're
They choose the Pikachu?
They choose because they can see the Pikachu, but it's not actually there.
That makes sense. They conjure it into reality.
But so these planes, specifically, they have like a number of different types of planes, but their planes are all in very orc fashion. They're all, belching smoke constantly.
They got to make as much noise as possible.
As much noise as they can possibly make.
So they do not have stealth fighters. Like, stealth fighters do not exist in orc world.
If there's an opposite to a stealth fighter, it's what they have. Essentially,
it makes so much noise that you can't hear it coming because you are covering your ears.
If you've seen Mad Max and that car that's covered in speakers, just attach wings to it, that's an orc flyer.
That makes sense. That's probably exactly. I stand by that most of those vehicles are orc vehicles from Mad Max.
But so these flyers, essentially, there's a lot of weird isms around orc flyers because, they're usually a race that prefers to fight on the ground and get up and close.
They get up into the mix.
Get sticky in combat and stuff like that, and that sounded really weird, but
they like to get sticky in combat. Don't think about it, guys. We're moving on.
Stuck in combat.
Yeah. No, we heard.
But so all their flyers are essentially organized at a rampaging across the battlefield in very orc fashion. So they have 3 specific different types of flyers you can choose in the codex, which are all really interesting and just bonkers nuts.
Okay.
So the first one's called the Daka Jet because, of course. It's essentially just guns on guns and guns and guns.
I have to imagine the orcs' first thought when they build a flyer is, how many freaking guns can I get on this thing?
Guns? 3 guns? No, 5 guns?
I believe I can get 17 guns on this. Get out of here. Jeez. Just unprofessional.
He's just very belligerent.
Yeah, really.
But so the Daka Jet, also in very orc fashion, has a rule called wog plane, which is when the orcs pop the wog, essentially, and they scream and they get angry, it somehow gives the plane more shots.
I believe
They believe it.
The guns get more shots somehow.
They fire
Even the guns
better.
get excited.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you think like they're all
Orcs must throw the best parties. Like when they get riled up, even the material plane, everything just gets better.
I don't know. I hear there's a lot of murder at orc parties.
That's probably true.
But then you have 2 other planes. One's called a Burnabama.
Okay.
Which is just as...
I wonder what it does.
The name implies. It, of course, has nothing to do with fire.
Nope.
So essentially, it's just a plane that just has... It's got fire bombs built into it.
Right.
And then can take fire missiles as well. And it's pretty cool because all the weapons essentially on it ignore cover, which is kind of awesome. But then the last plane, which is, its rules-wise, is actually one of my favorites. It's called the Blitzbomber. And it's essentially... It's another bomber, but it's like a dive bomber, essentially.
Okay.
It's just got... It's because these really powerful bombs are essentially large blast plasma bombs. They're strength 7 AP2, which does a lot of damage.
Oof.
But they have this rule that when they come in for a bombing run... You have to roll 2d6 and see what happens.
Wait, just to see, like, if he messes up, or he gets a call from someone and he does that instead?
If you roll double ones, you may or may not just crash into the ground and cause an explosion.
Oh, because he could just be like, oh, no, too fast, and just right into the ground.
That's why they're called blitz bombers, because essentially their idea of a bombing run is to not safely do it from high altitude, but to literally come inches from the enemy and then release the bomb.
Why would I be up high? Why would I just be low? lower.
Yeah.
It seems like I'd be able to do it faster if I'm lower.
It'd be faster and more accurate, I think.
And all of them are like, yeah, no, yeah, of course.
That
yeah.
makes perfect
Dude,
sense.
definitely do that.
They
What a
should be-
perfect society.
I mean, they just do. They just do.
They do not
just
think they
do.
do. I mean, Nike eventually becomes the orcs. Don't check, don't fact check anything.
But yeah, so it's really funny. These guys, they roll 2d6 when you go in for a bombing run. If you roll double, snake eyes, in very orc fashion, they just explode on the ground.
Right. Of course.
They become the bombing run.
That makes sense.
They're one with the bomb. But
Yeah, they hold on and they're like, this is good.
and then you roll like a couple low things and then like a 2 or 3 or something like that. And then they unfortunately inflict a strength 9 AP2 hit on themselves.
Good.
But they also inflict a strength 9 AP2 hit on whatever they're bombing.
Okay.
So it's like they actually clip it, like whatever
Wow.
they're hitting. And then like a 4 to a 9 or something like that, or a 4 to a 10 is just like, or no, I think it's just a 4 to a 9 is just like they just do a bombing run.
They do a normal run.
It's just a normal run. And then it gets the best, great, because if you do like a 10 through 12, it's called Bama Daka Daka. And it's like literally they come in, they do a bombing run. It's like a super bombing run, and then they can do an out of sequence shooting attack at whatever they just bombed.
That's ridiculous.
So they literally just come in and they just like spraying wildly with
They
with
bomb
fire.
and then they just pull a bunch of Uzis out of the back and just like,
They're literally so excited. The guy just lets go of the stick and just pulls machine guns out and just starts firing.
I'm so pumped about this. That's awesome.
So yeah, so obviously, that like very much in Roll to Seize fashion, the entire list has to be themed after
Of course, it's got to be.
And I will admit that I executive decisioned this a bit. There was a poll, and we do run it into polls, and there were a few votes for this and there, but one person specifically made a comment. This person
Who was the person?
This person is Jeffersonian000.
Jeffersonian000. Thank you.
You just said Top Gun themed DACA jets. And I was like, well, I mean, that wins.
That's got to be it. That's
you
true.
Win. You win all the games.
You were correct, sir. Thank you very much for that.
So obviously it has to be 5 planes
Of
because
course.
you have Maverick, you have Goose. Now technically we separated those two.
Look, orcs, they do their own thing.
They do
man.
their own thing.
They believe it's a co-pilot, but it's another plane. It doesn't matter.
So you have Maverick, you have Goose, you have Iceman, you have Viper, and then you have Jester. Because
Oh.
you have to have all 5.
That's true, you do.
Well, there just so happens to be a formation
Wow.
that's 5 planes. So this army, I was like, well, how bonkers nuts can it get? There's 10 planes in the list.
Oh my god, what?
It's 2 of these formations.
You can do 10 planes?
It's 10 planes.
Oh my god.
I've never seen that many flyers in a game before.
Oh, somebody please do this. Somebody please do 10 planes.
So this formation, it requires you to take 3 DACA jets,
Okay.
a Burnabama, and a Blitzbama.
Oh, so all 3?
All 3 of
So
them.
you've got all the shenanigans at your disposal.
You got all of them. So here's where the story comes into it. So you, like we said, you got Maverick, Goose, Iceman, Jester, and Viper.
Yep.
Except that then another group came in that also named themselves that, but in like the bizarro opposite effect. And so they're going to be competing for kills the whole game to see
So who's going to be the best Maverick?
who's the actual
Who's going to be the best Iceman?
Top Gun.
Wow, I went to the down the mountain. I know the rest of that song. I know it. I know those lyrics,
I
but I
believe
didn't want
you.
to sing them because it would be too good.
I believe you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So this formation is called Skyboss Wingnuts Air Armada.
That's the actual name.
That is the actual name of the formation. So that's like the core of the army is essentially just 10 planes. Now, the reason that this formation is really cool, not only is it a formation that allows you to take 5 planes, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But
and eventually 10 planes, apparently.
But 10 planes with 2 of these formations, because, one's not enough.
One is never enough.
Not
for
on Roll to Seize.
No, we are dedicated to putting way too much shit into one list.
You thought that 3 penitent engines was enough,
Yeah.
and I gave you 12.
Yeah. Listen up.
So this 10 planes comes out to like 1,400 points.
Oof.
So that's the majority of the army.
That's a bit of a price tag.
Now, granted, that sounds like a lot, but
It does sound like a lot.
because it is a lot.
It is a lot.
But I was really thinking about it, and I just wanted to see what your opinion was, because you just played Harlequins and stuff. What would you do?
Oh, nothing. I would die. They would all die.
With 10 planes coming out on the field in all directions. And here's where the kicker comes in. If they leave the field, so if they go into ongoing reserves,
Right.
they regenerate all hull points.
Whoa.
And they regenerate all of their one-time use weapons.
What?
So that gives like things like burner bombers and blitz bombers infinite bombing runs.
So what you can do is you can almost, if you have them parceled out by turns, you have one turn the 5 come in, and then they go off, and the next turn the other group come in, and then the other turn they come in, and then the other ones come in.
Or just have them all come in at once and just go fucking buck wild.
Jeez, just bombs on bombs on bombs.
I didn't realize this as well, but since a flyer normally can just move 36 inches, 18 to 36 inches in its movement phase, it can also flat out 24 inches, which means that it's possible for the blitz bombers to literally just come in, but then just fly off the board and do a bombing run, and then they automatically come in next turn
and
do a bombing run, and then come in next turn and do a bombing run.
Oh my god!
So they just do bombing runs.
They just bomb runs every turn,
and they're
guaranteed.
Never targetable,
and they're never targetable.
They're
That's
never
true.
targetable unless you have interceptor.
I guess
that's about it.
Wow.
So that is just from the blitz bombers. That's 2 strength 7 AP2 large blasts hitting whatever you fly over, which is basically with a 36-inch move, anything on the field.
Oh my god.
Every turn past turn 2.
That's amazing.
So that's the core of the army. What I was like, well...
So who's in the tower? Who's commanding? Who's telling Goose and Maverick where the targets are?
So I was like, well...
Who's drinking coffee and then spilling coffee on themselves every time they fly by?
I was like, well, you got to have a Warboss in this army, because the Warboss is the only way you get access to WOG.
Right.
And since there's 6 WOG planes on the field, that's basically...
You and a WOG.
That's adding in 2 more planes of firepower. Wow. Because each one gets an additional shot on each gun.
That's crazy.
So that's 3 per plane. So that's 18 shots. That's 2 more planes that you're adding by having WOG in the game.
Oh.
So I was like, well, unfortunately, most of the stuff is in reserve. So you got to have something that can survive long enough so that the planes actually come in. So we have a basic Warboss with basically like all of the stops. Like nothing's been held back. He's on a bike. He has like a Feel No Pain character just attached to him. He's got like all this crazy stuff to make him basically unkillable.
Awesome.
But the point is that, well, you got to have a tower if you have a plane force. So I had to take an Aegis line with a comms relay.
Wow.
Which is the tower.
He's got to be in the tower.
You
drinking coffee.
The tower, because if you have a guy in base contact with the tower, that allows you to reroll reserves. So that almost
you
guarantees.
Just need a tower because it's Top Gun.
Because it's Top Gun. I mean, but there
whatever other rules that come with it are great, but
bonuses.
You need a tower because they're just bonuses.
They're just bonuses.
You got to have the tower just because you have tons of planes.
It's just planes on planes on planes on planes on planes.
Amazing.
So yeah, so it's just a Warboss with a Pain Boy, both on bike. They're attached to each other to just be like a pseudo good luck killing us unit.
Yeah.
Just so we can survive long enough on the field so that all the planes come in. And then once all the planes come in, I mean, it's just like I said, go buck wild. I mean, what do you do against that? Unless you have like the most Skyfire that I've ever seen in the history of 40K, especially in this meta, like no one takes planes anymore.
Yeah.
So
it's very rare. That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, like you
see them, but they're not in like heavy use like they used to be.
No, and I mean, you used to see like a lot of Necron planes. Don't see that anymore. I mean, like Space Marines is all just drop podding now, so you don't really see that.
They've got some really cool drop pod formations now. So.
Yeah, they do. So it's just like, I mean, I don't know, unless you get like Skyfire objectives. Like, how do you stop 10 planes from just doing whatever the hell they want?
You just play volleyball and you hope for the best.
And then, like, just to round out the army is just 2 troop units, just 2 units of Gretchen. They essentially just
perfect.
Stand behind the wall.
They got to get that. They got to get the Warboss more coffee to drink, so more planes can make him spill coffee.
Exactly.
Himself.
So I mean, he's got that headset on. He's busy, so they got to take care of all the stuff. Now, ironically enough, a friend of mine had actually recommended the Grots because behind an Aegis line, they're actually so small that unless you're like right next to the Aegis line,
you can't see them, and it's true line of sight. That's true.
So it actually gives your army a higher
even
degree
more
of
defense,
survivability, so that they don't get blown off the board before your planes can come in.
Please, somebody make the Top Gun list and tell us how it does, because I think it would be outrageously good.
It's so against meta that they wouldn't know what to do.
So what do you have? Let me see your list. I just got I've got a couple planes.
I love that taking out of your box.
Yeah,
so you
just like
take
one
plane,
2 plane, 3 plane.
And the person's just looking at you like, how many flyers do you have? It's more than 5.
It's more than 5?
It's less than 20.
Yeah. So enjoy. This is going to be a fun game. Handshake. Here we go. All right.
Like even like the current crazy competitive meta with like say like scat bikes.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, anything shooting at 10 planes is going to have a difficult time.
I mean, just good luck.
God,
crazy.
please. I want to see this happen. I want to see this as #1 army at the tournament.
Oh my God. It can't capture objectives for shit, but man, is it
fun.
Just
it's going to kill everything else.
You play it just for the look on your opponent's face.
When you're pulling out endless planes.
We're just planes on planes on planes on planes on planes.
All right, guys, and what is the name of this? This list is Top Gun, right?
I mean, there's 2 names for it.
Okay, what are the names?
So the original name for it was The True Flying Circus, because it is orcs in the sky. How is it not a circus?
That's true.
But yes, Top Gun is. The voices of the internet have spoken. Specifically, you know who you are, who gave us the idea. It's Top Gun.
And thank you so much for it.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that was episode 13 of Roll to Seize and our anniversary episode. Again, thanks for sticking with us for a year. And if you just found the podcast, please stick with us. We've got a fun, crazy year ahead of more terrible games that Andrew and I will play, and more wonderful, terrifying, interesting stories from the Brown Library. Question mark? And we'll learn more about Greg and this weird place that we find our strange lists from. As always, we'll be posting a new episode every month, and if you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com, that's arc with a C. You can email us any questions at rolltoseize@gmail.com, or chat with us on dakadaka.com and help decide the next Brown Library segment. Search for fluffy/underrated units in the 40K general discussion forums. Of course, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram for tournaments and model picks at partialarc. Thanks for listening, and your fun fact for this month is...
Ironically, orcs actually have an innate fear of flying.
Really?
Yes.
You know what? It makes the blitz bombing run make more sense because he wants to get close to the ground again. He's like, oh yes, I'm closer to the ground. This is good. Wait, nope, too close.